This week in games, Giant Bomb goes independent, Palworld forced to make changes, and there's a new DMC coming soon. This is the Two Penny Gamescast. What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 250. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Very often we have some sort of, are you ready to go? You didn't even tell me that. And now here I am with my pants down, and I don't know what to say.
Yeah, but you're ready to go.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. At some point, after 250 episodes of this, Connor, you and I just kind of figured it out at some point.
Especially because you screw me over every chance you fucking get.
I screw you over.
Yeah.
I screw you over.
When have I ever
I'm out
screwed
here elevating the content every fucking week.
Oh, please.
Breaking out multiple videos,
So
putting
did I.
together as many shorts and TikToks as I can.
This week you
investing in a set,
I invested too.
Having vision.
guy.
Vision. This is my problem with you,
Guy,
Connor. You have no goddamn vision.
No, that's just mean. Mean.
Yeah?
You know, I had a vision today when we were doing our piggy bank that we would shotgun a beer. If we lost, we wouldn't have done it anyway.
We didn't lose.
So, but the fact that
we both would have shotgun beers.
What?
We both would have shotgun beers.
No. That's not how the game's supposed to work. We have to be principled. Punishments must be meted out when there's punishment to be had.
Well, the first to tie is the first to lose. You know what I'm saying? So we were both losers.
The first to tie. You were the first to tie me,
Listen,
though.
if you didn't win, you lost.
Last. If you're not first, you're last.
If you're not as quoted by
Ricky Bobby's father.
the great,
Randy Bobby or something like that.
Fucking, I don't know. I thought it was a Fast and Furious quote.
Yeah, easily could be. Oh, they should have him. Come in
Winning's
there.
winning.
Can they do that? With what Fast and Furious is? Just have
Ricky Bobby in it?
Yeah.
Why the fuck not?
It'd be funny.
They wouldn't call him Ricky Bobby though.
No, they would have to be. You think Will Ferrell has a problem?
I think they would. They would say, Will Ferrell, just do Ricky Bobby. We're gonna put you in this movie. Just do Ricky Bobby, but we're not gonna call you that. We're gonna call you Blicky Snobby. I don't know. It's the first thing that came into my head.
See, that's why you haven't thought this out like I have.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that you just thought of 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't need, because I thought about it when you said I thought it was Fast and Furious. I immediately thought of the idea.
I think about smacking you in the face while you're sleeping.
You can't because my door is locked.
Not always. Like when I caught you playing Death Stranding.
Well, that was a moment of
there.
weakness. A moment of weakness. I fell asleep during a boring game called Death Stranding. You all
You
know why.
didn't even play it for like 5 minutes. Like,
Why did I fall asleep?
because your ass was tired and you played the game in the dark because you never turned your fucking light on.
Yeah, why would I? Waste of energy.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes maybe, possibly. Your bedroom light always off. The kitchen light always on. You never turn the fucking kitchen light off.
Okay. You know what? You're calling me out on the podcast.
Yeah.
I have consistently turned it off.
That's not true.
You've
That's
left
not
it
true.
on.
That's not true.
You
No,
have
you're
left it
lying.
on.
You're a liar.
The amount of times I
No.
come out, that light's on.
No, because
and
the one
I didn't do
no,
it.
because
It
the
was
one
you.
no, it was you.
It was you.
It was
It's
you.
also that-
Because the one I leave on is the hallway light.
There you
I always
go.
leave the hallway
See,
light.
you're confusing the two. You're confusing the two
No.
because you're sick in the head.
They're different color lights. I know which one is which.
Oh, and it's. I don't think you do.
I'm gonna send you a picture every time you walk out that kitchen and you leave it on.
Okay.
Also,
walking out of the kitchen,
you're always you're always in there at fucking 2 a.m, high as fuck, cooking whatever
That's not
fucking
true.
random
That is
Greek
not
meal
true.
you could ever think
You
of,
are
right?
fucking
And I come in the next
Greek
morning.
meal?
I
You're
come
lying.
in the morning. There's
Lie
fucking
after
garlic.
lie
There's fucking
after
garlic
lie.
all over the counter.
That's true.
There's
The other
fucking
stuff's a lie,
Dirty
though.
knives everywhere.
Garlic is used in every culture in the world. Not just Greek.
But you be cooking a lot of Greek food.
Not even really.
I mean-
more Italian. Way
Just
more
'cause it has
Italian.
spaghetti doesn't make it Italian.
No, it doesn't. But what does make it Italian is aglio e olio, which I very often cook. That is as Italian as you can get. Italians in the chat, back me up. You'll know.
Right, you know. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with
derailed
the
it.
nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. Of course, you can watch this show every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames, or mainstream podcast services of your choice. You can also watch us record this show live every Monday afternoon twitch.tv/TwoPennyGames, where we record all of our podcasts live for your viewing pleasure. Make sure you like, subscribe for more, and drop a comment with your own two cents in the comments down below. So that we can incorporate your own 2 pennies into the 2 Penny Gamescast. Specifically this week on our Borderlands 4 looks good video, the Laughable 37 says Borderlands 4 looks awesome and looks so fun. But because of the terms of service at the moment by Take-Two, I don't know if I will be buying it. What are you talking about?
Terms of service.
What is wrong with the terms of service? I did see someone reply to it and be like, it's something about you can't sue them because you agreed to the terms of service in a video game, but why are you suing them for playing a video game?
Because Randy Pitchford, you know what? Usually I say, Randy Pitchford is a pedophile.
Right.
Because there's a story of, this is not connected to the YouTube comment at all, I'm sorry. But I was wrong. I was wrong.
How are you wrong?
I was wrong because it turns out that there was basically there was a lawsuit or there was like a settlement or something like that, and both parties, whoever they were, admitted that it was a misunderstanding, that it was not child porn that he left on a USB at a medieval times.
Yeah, it was barely legal 18-year-old porn.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, it seems like it's kind of contentious.
Anybody who watches porn with barely legal anything in it wants to go lower.
Chances are they want to go lower.
No, they want to go lower.
What is this? Oh, so now being a pedophile is just not being a pedophile, but you kind of are a pedophile? Not even kind of. You aren't even a pedophile at that point because it's not even the same thing.
You're fucking gross.
But aside from that,
Connor, me at 27, I'm going nowhere near an 18-year-old.
Fair enough.
Nowhere near an 18-year-old.
But it's not.
That's a child.
He wasn't doing it in reality either. That's the kid thing.
I'm not jerking off to 18-year-old porn either.
You could do what you please at that point. Who cares? I don't care. And that doesn't even seem like that was true. The only thing that seems likely is that he sexually assaulted the Claptrap voice actor. So he's still a scumbag. But, it's a different kind of scumbag, admittedly.
All
so
of this to say,
Randy Pitchford.
All of this to say, the Laughable 37, there's a lot of reasons to not play a Borderlands game. I don't know if your reason's one of them.
Terms of service.
Moving over to our second audience 2 penny here, and one of which I'm going to berate you for being a fucking moron. Not you, Connor.
Do anything.
But these other people. On our We Need Your Help, Games Media is Dying video, BX Panda 7 says, between the false reporting, snarky millennial writing style, the useless articles about nothing, and the agenda pushing, what exactly is there to save? If the reporters can't write good articles worth reading, they should go out of business? Now, first of all of our comments in that video were along those same lines of thought. To which I reply, what the fuck are you guys reading?
Yeah, that was the thing I was thinking about over this past week. So, here's the way I see it, right? These are the same kinds of people who still, years after the fact, think of things like Gamergate. Now, I'm not going to bother. I could try and explain what Gamergate was, but in the spirit of, what I'm trying to say, I'm not going to. Because it's a thing that occurred years ago with some, it was a conversation because there was someone possibly sleeping with a game developer for review purposes. Whether that's actually true, because you had two parties that were kind of saying, no, that didn't happen.
And the response to it is ridiculous.
Yes. To the point where years later, people still act like that's a thing that should be relevantly talked about. Even, admittedly, both sides. The people who are going to be the subject of this conversation. And some other people, like, for example, we very often bring up the pieces of a big games journalist named Jason Schreier. He is on, I've seen, more so when he was more active on Twitter. He might have left it by now, because I haven't really seen many posts from him
I'm not on there Twitter, anymore. So I couldn't tell you.
I know a lot of games journalists did move away from that platform, and he would bring it up, not all the time, but he would bring it up consistently enough.
In the few moments that I've seen him talk about that, it's only in reference to what we're doing right now, where it's like, there's a bunch of incel losers on the internet, like you, BX Panda, who just will not let these things go, and who just have this really warped reality of games journalism and what it is, and they just sit in their shell and believe these things that they believe, but they don't have any actual proof to back that up, or they don't have any actual examples to back that up. There's a million reasons to have an issue with games journalism, right? It's based in consumerism. It's basically just extra marketing for these big publishers and companies. And a lot of it does have a lot of fluff, a lot of top 10 lists that don't need to be top 10 lists. And a lot of rage baiting opinion pieces where they say, "Oh, this game that everyone says is bad is actually good." And, like, there's a lot of that, right? And a lot of it's stupid. But a lot of it is also supposed to be stupid. But I don't understand how that is connected to Giant Bomb and Polygon, who, though Polygon did engage in a lot of those trashy lists, fast food level journalism that I'm talking about, they did still put out a lot of good work. We would cite Polygon a lot on this show and talk about it and have really in-depth discussions based off of a lot of the hard workers at Polygon. That's the thing is, everybody wants to say it's lazy, but there's so much like that just doesn't get credited for the actual good work that gets done.
Yeah, and I will just touch again on it because I wanted to say it real quick. Going back to the Gamergate thing,
yeah.
Jason Schreier does randomly bring it up in context where he's not criticizing somebody else, because there is, especially on the games media sides, certain figures who are still hung up over that, and he seems to be one of them. And
it's an example of these fucking losers on the internet taking things way too far.
And that's the other aspect of it, which is, I can't help but think the people who usually comment on this and, like the comments on the post itself, see certain articles, because I have seen, like, baity articles, that you can have issue with, right? Usually, very often, they involve politics in some way, shape, or form, but very often, it's an opinion piece. And they aren't very common, either. In the grand scheme of what games journalism is, it isn't really that, So I can't help but think, especially in the age of social media, where we're shown posts that we interact with, people will go down a pipeline where they'll be interacting with these rarely stupid articles, and then they'll constantly get these things shoved in front of them. And because people can't perceive that that's how the media space works online, they go, well, this is what games journalism is. Because as somebody who, for the longest time, didn't really read a lot of games journalism until, honestly, fairly recently, I only really saw those kinds of articles, the stupid ones. But when I started reading articles just commonly, consistently,
a lot of good work.
That.
Yeah,
it's very often just like basic reporting of things.
I mean, so much of the media, so much of journalism in this space is just X game is coming out January whatever, or here's our review of Y game in Series X that have had a dozen entries in a franchise or whatever. And I think a lot of people do a lot of like generalization. They think that one website is one personality, when in reality it's a cornucopia of personalities. And very often it's like, oh, this great, awesome game of the year only got like a 7 or an 8 from IGN, whereas Call of Duty got a 9. How does that make sense? Right?
Yeah.
And what they don't realize is that that's two different reviewers with two different backgrounds, reviewing two different games for two different purposes, right? And so they don't take those things into account. They just look at the numbers, generalize it, and say the whole website is trash.
And that's a criticism you can say in terms of the scoring landscape, because there's just a variety of different individual people that you're not really getting a hard line score.
Well, that's why I think scoring is stupid.
Yeah, and you can kind of just acknowledge that
in general, not just in video games. Like putting a score on something. I understand the shorthand of it, of like judging quality and how that's useful, when you say the game's like a 6 out of 10, then it's not that great, but it's not like atrociously bad either, right? Or if I say a game's like a 9, you're like, oh, I should probably play this right away, right? But that eliminates all of the context from the conversation.
Yes.
What about that game is good? Why is it good? If I'm to recommend it to you, Connor Elliott, I need to talk about XYZ thing, not just the fact that it's a 9 out of 10.
When you talk about art, putting it into a mathematical formula to a numbers game is very redundant at the end of the day. You
100%.
miss out on a lot of the complexities of what a game is, which can't really be conceptualized or dumbed down to a number.
Right.
It's just kind of a waste. You shouldn't bother doing it. Same kind of way goes for Steam reviews, where it's like a thumbs down or a thumbs up. It's just, that's it. There's a lot of... You have to read somebody's comments to get the actual details of what makes a game a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
There was a comment, maybe we talked about it on the show, but I don't think we did. There was a comment on one of our videos. It was like one of our reviews or something. And they went, yeah, I'm not going to listen to a bunch of guys on the internet. I'm going to listen to Steam reviews. And I was like, that's what Steam reviews are. They're guys on the internet, like just going, yeah, I liked it. No, I didn't. Like, that's it. Like, yeah. I don't understand. Like, yeah. So a lot of this.
And I remember commenting that to say, just read the reviews themselves then, rather than just whether thumbs up or thumbs down, because that's how you could tell when somebody either knows what they're talking about or is someone that you would trust based off what they focus on when they're talking about a game.
All of that to say, BX Panda 7, you should read more.
If you do that, I guarantee you'll realize that's kind of your own biases coming in the same way you're criticizing biases in games journalism.
You're being nice. I'm saying he's an idiot.
Oh, well, if he actually reads into it and he has the same opinion, I'd call you an idiot. Feels like you're kind of diving into
Especially because it's like
anti-logic.
Especially because it's like, if it's not harmful or spreading hate speech or like tearing like somebody down unnecessarily. Also, what is millennial styled writing? What does that even mean?
I'm guessing
the writing of someone in their late 30s.
I have a feeling they're trying to say, because there is some weird thing that more younger people do, which is the issue where his saying millennials aren't really younger people anymore.
No.
I'm guessing it's the changing of certain words. Like the one I always go to is homeless people to unhoused. Is there a reason to change that? No. But I don't think that's applicable to what he's talking about,
Yeah.
in the games media landscape.
I don't understand. Yeah. My point being, why are you cheering because someone who is just doing their job loses their job?
Because they've been successfully rage baited. And now it's defined. They lost at some point.
They are the sheep that need to wake up.
Basically, yeah.
Got it.
Connor,
we're going to move on to our first topic of the day, actually getting into the news now. And I'll remind you, ladies and gentlemen, you can read all of the news articles that we read on the show here over at TwoPennyGamesNews.substack.com, because our very own Connor Elliott writes them. So make sure you go over to that. The link is in the description down below. Giant Bomb goes independent, now owned by former staff. Following layoffs at gaming news site Giant Bomb last week, the publication's owner, Fandom, sold the website to staff members Jeff Grubb, Dan Reichert, Jeff
Bacalar, I think.
Bacalar?
Bacalar?
I think no way. Jeff, I'm sorry. Mike Minotti and Jan Ochoa? Ochoa, probably.
Yeah.
Quote, after over a decade of corporate ownership, Giant Bomb will now be truly independent, reads an article from the Giant Bomb staff. We don't work for a corporation anymore. We work for you. The Giant Bomb cast host Grubb and Reichert were among those laid off after they'd poked fun at the new Fandom guidelines. But as the new owners, they plan to focus on, quote, the people you see and hear on our content, including Giant Bomb's community. Additionally, Giant Bomb's subscription service has undergone alterations, with the monthly subscription jumping from $5 to $10. Benefits include ad-free podcasts, access to their Discord, behind-the-scenes content, and town hall Q&As. A $100 subscription provides the same benefits while saving subscribers $20 a year. The Giant Bombcast will resume this Tuesday. The sale price hasn't been disclosed.
We covered this last week. The layoffs.
Giant Bomb getting all of the interesting personalities getting laid off. Giant Bomb basically just being a shell of what it was in the future. It was a very sad week last week. It was very upsetting. And this is great news.
It went from being the death of Giant Bomb, the inevitable death, to the revitalization of it, or at least what I hope is. Because with being independent, there come risks. Maybe some people aren't going to be willing to jump onto your ship, or people aren't willing to pay money into it, especially during this economy. The comments on this post, on their website, seems to indicate they're going to have a good amount of support following them, because there's like hundreds of comments of people happy that now it's no longer owned by Fandom. Clearly was probably one of the reasons that site wasn't as good as it could have been.
Yep.
I don't know I really want to know what those new guidelines were. I've never been able to get a hardline specification on what they are.
Okay.
Clearly it seemed to be stupid enough to mock openly on their podcast.
Right.
Going off of what we just said about how games journalism is more just people delivering the news, getting insider information and sharing it to readers, to viewers. And Jeff Grubb in particular has been a powerhouse in the media landscape. He does story after story after story on Giant Bomb, and now he's put in the hours, he's put in the years, and he's finally gotten something out of it. He's now one of the owners.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. I think it's totally. I understand that a price hike in any direction is not great for consumers, but I think for them this totally makes sense, and I'm totally down for that. 5 to 10 is not crazy. $10 is usually the amount you have to pay for independent sites anyway to get their benefits. but I understand how it's like, oh, now I got to pay, twice as much or whatever. For that, I get the hang up over that. I think it's more than worth it, especially because Giant Bomb has put out so much quality work over the last couple of years, and in general, like, these are a lot of personalities that are really fun to listen to. I've been listening to Dan Reichert's coverage of Death Stranding 2 because a lot of the preview event embargo just lifted on that. Dan has been jumping over to the Kind of Funny pages, which is who I get most of my previews and info from, is over at Kind of Funny, because that's how I like to consume my media. And so he's been doing a great job covering Death Stranding 2. He's really smart in what he says and how he articulates his thoughts, so that's all great. And so to see the people who are in the trenches doing the work now being the owners of this is like a really, really good thing to see. And honestly, like, I couldn't be more excited. This is a lot like the Game Informer story, but with a faster turnaround.
Yeah, way faster. The biggest criticism I have with this, and this isn't really, to insult them, but I think having a vaster degree of tiers would benefit them being independent, because some people aren't going to want to shell out $10, but they might be willing to go $1 just to show support or for some minor benefit. Because you can have with the different tiers, you typically have different benefits, and clearly some of these could be cut. Like, for example, $1 for just supporting Giant Bomb. There's some people who'd be willing to do that. Maybe increase it a little bit more to get some kind of I don't know what benefits they might do. Maybe certain limited access to their Discord for maybe a $5 price. I think exploring the range will get you more people paying on to it rather than just giving you the two options of you want to pay $100 or $10 every single month. I think especially starting out, it might benefit them to explore the price range. Because I want them to succeed. I don't want them to just fall by the wayside because people aren't willing to spend money on their platform. But of course, that's something we'll see as time progresses onwards. They highlight especially that it's going to be going to them directly, which, that's very nice. It's going to get people who care about this industry to feed money into it, but maybe the ones who are more, they just kind of are passing by and don't have that much of an investment in the game media landscape would be willing to go for a little bit less.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but as someone who has been watching Giant Bomb from afar, but watching a lot of different media sites who follow the same type of idea. It used to be, you get $1, you get the ad free, but nothing else. You get $5, now you get the Discord. You get $10, now you can do like Q&As and stuff with us and stuff like that. Over the years, I've seen them boil down those options to just $10 or a yearly subscription. Most only just do the $10 a month thing. So while I agree with you that all that's great, I think they generally just see peak engagement at this $10 level. Like, because it's usually like, if you're looking to support and get these benefits, you're probably just going to go for that anyway. And if you're not, or if you don't care about the benefits and you just want to support, you're likely just going to throw $10 at them anyway. And for the $1 subscribers, I think it's so small that people don't remember to come back and get their benefits all the time. So like, you just don't see a lot of engagement from that tier of level. Now, support is support, whether it's going or not. I agree with you. They should have some type of tier of like, hey, just support at any level you want. Just understand you're not going to get any benefits, but thank you for supporting. But I also wonder if it's just like, hey, like that tier almost never gets clicked on anyway. So
I don't know the financial
if you're going to
side of these
support,
things.
you may as well get your benefits.
Yeah, and again, maybe when they're maybe they'll change that up. Maybe the subscriptions they have right now will be sufficient. We'll see.
GiantBomb.com/join to get the full Giant Bomb breakdown on what they want and need. GiantBomb.com/get premium leads you to the subscription that you can. I just wanted to give it a shout out of those real quick. Before we move on to our second story of the day, one that has been quietly seen several developments, and we have decided it's time to finally speak on it. There's been a number of times that we've thought about talking about it and bringing it up, but I think it's now is the time to fully jump into it. So, Connor, this is going to be your first penny of the day. Go ahead and jump into it, friend.
Indeed, it will be. Palworld developer forced to make changes as Nintendo lawsuit continues. Nearly 8 months since the filing of a lawsuit from Nintendo and the Pokemon Company against Palworld developer Pocket Pair over patent infringement, the developer will no longer allow players will no longer allow players to use PALs for gliding to, quote, avoid disruptions to the development and distribution of Palworld, end quote. Confirmed in a press release last Thursday, the change was implemented in patch version 5.5 as a result of one of 3 patent lawsuits issued by Nintendo that challenged Pocket Pair's right to use features typically found in Pokemon titles. Nintendo's 3 patents concern the system of capturing and deploying creatures for combat using a capture ball, patent JP7545191, the system of aiming an item that evaluates the chance of catching creatures, patent JP7493117, and the system of using mountable pals / Pokemon for transportation purposes, patent JP7528390. Patent JP754191, the first one, forced the dev back in November 30th of last year to remove the use of, quote, PAL spheres in favor of having PALs summoned next to the player character without the use of spheres. Although PALs will continue to apply buffs when gliding, the system of traversal will be replaced by a traditional glider similar to that of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, another Nintendo video game. Quote, we would like to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the continued support of our fans over the past few months, the statement reads. We apologize for not being able to share as much information as we would like, but we trust our fans understand how difficult it is to be fully transparent while litigation is ongoing, end quote. It was revealed in April that Pocket Pair argued in, quote, preparatory briefs that other past games like Fallout and Monster Hunter contained similar features prior to the approval of Nintendo's patents that were filed between February and July of 2024. Pocket Pair's arguments were detailed by gaming analysis Gamesfray after they dispatched a Japanese patent lawyer to acquire the case. Law patent. I can't remember. What did I write? A case file.
I couldn't find my mouse.
Idiot. So stupid. This guy's stupid. Can't do save files, can't find his mouse. Quote, we sent someone to the Tokyo District Court because this is by far the most aggressive patent enforcement any game maker ever attempted against a rival, and we want to help our readers find out what's going on, Gamefray states. An official judgment has yet to be handed down, although the future remains uncertain. Quote, we remain committed to developing Palworld and to delivering exciting new content to our fans, Pocket Pair proclaims, end quote. So, the positive about this is they're just doing this for safety purposes, so they can continue to put out their game.
Who's doing what for safety purposes?
Pocket Pair is rescinding the gliding mechanic as it stands, just to prevent any kind of issue from coming up with distribution and production. But that's not exactly a vote of confidence to see how this patent lawsuit is going onwards, because as Gamesfray states, it is pretty severe at this point, especially because it's gone beyond just what was initially seeming to be the issue, which was the capture devices.
Yeah.
And now it's gone to traversal and analyzing, the capture rate of certain Pokemon.
At some point, it's like, okay, well, we don't have a game anymore.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, right, exactly. And, so far, they've at least, for 2 of these patents, been able to change it in a way that if Nintendo wins, they can still continue to do the game as it stands. But yeah, it's just, this oversight that Nintendo has over the features they have in their games and saying other people can't use them has entered into a realm of ridiculousness. Nintendo has a history of being lenient in terms of greed. For example, I always think of it's an older story now about how in lieu of not having layoffs, Nintendo stockholders, members of the executive team at Nintendo took a pay cut so that they didn't have to fire people. But at the same exact time, they're known for never putting their games on sale and also constantly having, lawsuits thrown at people for, in the case, of course, there was this guy whose last name was Bowser, funny enough. He's basically being made to pay for the rest of his life to Nintendo for doing some kind of emulator. So they are very dogged in their protection of their games. But this is really, as Gamesfray once again states, the most they've ever done to a rival game developer. And to Nintendo's credit, Palworld is obviously a ripoff of Pokemon in terms of designs, in terms of just how the game looks.
Yep.
And, they added guns. That's their big change.
So, some of them literally are just recolored skins of famous Pokemon in the past. Like, it is pretty egregious in the designs. Now,
that's not what they're
that's not what they're going after, though.
Yeah.
They're not going after the designs of the characters. They're going after the sphere, which I was trying to find it, but I can't find anything updated. How do you capture the pals now? Do you still throw a ball?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, things like throwing a ball to capture them, or throwing a ball to not even to capture them. I think it's just to spawn them is the problem. Is interesting. So now they just appear next to you. Having the indicator of like when you throw a ball to capture one, how successful are you going to be? Come on, man. Like you gotta have a video game here at some point. That's a little too in the weeds to like be considered fair, I think.
Yeah.
And then using pals as mounts or as gliding as a gliders. Again, guys, you weren't the first ones to do this. And
No.
like there's so many other cases of other people doing it. You brought up Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild with the glider. The
similar.
new glider being, similar to that. I would like to say Sly Cooper did it first, but
Well, the slider very much looks like Breath of the Wild slider. I haven't seen Sli's. And most other people don't think of that one because they don't think of that game anymore. They don't.
But they should.
They
It's
should,
really
maybe.
good.
I have no doubt, but they don't.
Yeah, I think Nintendo has grounds to stand on for litigation here. Now, I think they're being a little bit extreme about it, and they typically are when they choose to go down this route. And I think it's well past the point of like, all right, they get the point.
Yeah.
Like we've learned our lessons. Like, can you chill out? But
Setting an example at the same time. They don't want to
Nintendo has a right to protect their intellectual properties. Nintendo has a right to to protect their property. That's theirs, and it's totally fair that they are going down this route. I think they're being a little crazy about it, and I just don't think it's fair the way that they're choosing to go about it.
They always seem to overcorrect. They just do more than they should.
And again, they're not exactly hitting the things that I thought they would hit them on. Like some of those pals in Palworld are straight up Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, whoa, you're not hitting them on the 30, 40 cases of this, but you're just hitting them on throw a ball, spawn a creature.
I presume that's because there's no patent for the designs, but there is patents for these things.
If my memory serves me right, they patented these things after Palworld came out.
They might have. After they came, yes, they did. Which also, it's why I think the argument that Pocket Pair is making is ultimately going to win out. Because there are other games that have done some of these things beforehand.
Yeah.
It's just... patent laws, I have no fucking clue what we're dealing with here. This story is the most I've ever had to learn about patent law. And so it could go either way. And of course, even without patent law, just going to the courts, you never know how it's going to end up. Now, of course, we kind of thought, okay, well, maybe like the FTC will prevent the acquisition of Activision Blizzard from happening on behalf of Microsoft. Fuck, it's been so long.
Why are we on that?
No,
now?
Activision buying Blizzard. Fuck no, they were Activision Blizzard.
Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard King.
Most recently, the FTC's appeal to prevent that merger failed. Mm-hmm. Of course, they'd already kind of conjoined by this point, but there was still room for them to win out. Clearly, they did not. So who knows how courts are going to handle things. And I am concerned for not just Pocket Pair, but what this is going to mean down the line. And will they, if they win this court case, will they go to some of these other similar games and say, well, you can't do that, to try and enforce, their own IPs or their own patents?
Well, the thing about these court cases, and the important thing about every court case, is the precedent that is set. And so if anything were to cross the line again, it would have to be very different than what's happening here with Palworld, because anything they say here in Palworld will become the precedent. And going forward, whether they say, yeah, Palworld, you're doing too much, or Palworld, no, you're perfectly within your rights to do that, that will be the standard set from here on out, like, especially when it comes to Nintendo. So, any other game that uses capture mechanics with a ball, they're going to be looking at this case to gauge on how they should proceed.
If they don't win this, I feel like they won't even really try again if that were to happen. Some other capture ball device.
I mean, it won't be in a way that, like, we'll ever hear about it. It'll probably be a lot of, like, cease and desist letters sent out, or, like, phone calls, or, like, quick things that, like, they'll throw up and then they'll get taken down quickly because it'll get thrown out or whatever. Like, just things that don't matter as much. This being, like, a full legal case is why it's causing headlines. And, of course, it just being Nintendo.
Again, not knowing a lot about patent law, I don't know when this lawsuit would come to a head. I don't know if there's a typical length of time these usually last. I'm assuming it depends, of course, on the exact argument being made, but maybe we'll see an end to this story by the end of the year. I would hope so, because I want a ruling on it as soon as possible, just to let us know where we stand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Court of law things always take forever, though. I mean, this started early, like mid to early last year. So,
Yes.
yeah, you know, we've had a lot of updates to it. And speaking of potential updates to things that we care about, and hopefully we'll get news on soon, Connor, we're going to move on to our final topic of the day, your final penny. Can you go ahead and take it away, my friend?
Oh, I can do so, though. I can do, whatever.
Nice try.
Yeah, I fucked up. Very often, I fuck up. Original Devil May Cry director Hideki Kamiya open to working on the series once again. Following his departure from Platinum Games in 2023, famed video game director Hideki Kamiya founded his own studio, Clover's Inc., to begin work on a sequel to a 2006 Okami in collaboration with publisher Capcom. Now, Kamiya has expressed interest in returning to more Capcom IPs he's directed in the past, like Devil May Cry and Beautiful Joe. Posting to his YouTube channel for the first time in 3 months, Kamiya specifically focused on his desire to create a remake of the first Devil May Cry game. Quote, "As for Devil May Cry Remake, of course I'd love to do that," said Kamiya in response to a comment that somebody had left at one point. "I usually don't replay my own games after release, and Devil May Cry is no exception. But once in a while, I catch gameplay clips, and I think, yeah, this really does feel like a 24-year-old game design. With today's technology and game design approach, of course, I'd want to remake it from the ground up." He quickly mentions in the same video his interest in returning to 2003's Beautiful Joe. But this wasn't the first time Kamiya has expressed interest in returning to other IPs. As in an interview with IGN Japan, while still at Platinum Games, Kamiya spoke alongside the developer's CEO, Atsushi Inaba, on returning to the canceled Microsoft title, Scalebound. We did a lot of work on it, and it's no use in Microsoft keeping the game in its current form. So we'd like to do something about it, said Kamiya. "Phil, let's do it together," end quote. While chances of a scale-bound revitalization is low, Kamiya's newfound independence, industry standing, and enthusiasm for past works paves the way for Clover Inc. to collaborate with any number of publishers and continuing existing IPs. You roll your eyes, your head, more like it. You give me that smile.
You have no idea what I was about to
I've
say.
been friends with you for years.
You have no idea what I was about to say.
I've been friends with you for years.
What was I going to say?
And that little smile, Scalebound never coming.
The Scalebound's never coming.
See?
But,
Yeah.
cool.
Cool. Hey, if you watch the video, he's very, from that old interview as well, he's enthusiastic about video games, including those that he's already made. Very often, you might find a former game director who's like, I don't want to really return to some of my old stuff.
It's old. I already did it. I want to do something new.
But clearly, he has a love for the games he's made in the past, and he's always willing to go back to it. I mean, the first thing he did was do a sequel to Okami, which I'm really looking forward to, presumably coming out next year. Hope fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we talked about last week, which is going independent, somewhat more so on the games media side. That going independent has a lot of value. It's
just kind of the trend.
Cast off those shackles.
It's just kind of the trend right now.
It is
of a lot of groups like finding independence or finding some way to revive themselves under a different umbrella that kind of gives them more freedoms and so forth.
Sega Interactive, I think of when they were under was it Embracer Group, I think. I want to say it was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal Dynamics as well, I want to say, or were they sold off to? Are they still under Embracer now?
I think
they
were
under
Embracer.
They were under No, they were under Square Enix, and then they went to Embracer. But something happened to them after that. Something happened. Oh god, it's so hard to keep track of some of these things. Sometimes. And then infamously last year we saw Microsoft close down Tango Gameworks for them to be revived by somebody else, another publisher. So hopefully, we're just seeing of like, all right, we have to restructure everything because we've gone down the wrong path, and little by little, hopefully, we're just going to get a little bit more security in everything that's happening right now.
Yeah, and I would like, as far as Devil May Cry, because I did play that game. Yeah, right. It's outdated. It is. Yeah, it very much is.
I mean, I've only played DMC 5, which is a great game, but. I have eyes. I can see DMC. I can see the original Devil May Cry, and it looks rough.
It is, and of course, it's famous for originally being made as a Resident Evil game. Yeah, and then they pivoted to make the first Devil May Cry game. Yeah, and you can tell in its DNA. Particularly the fact that you're in a mansion, and the mansion's structured in a way where, man, if you had some zombies here, they'd be hard to get past. If they had made it smaller, it seems like they would take rooms that would usually be like thin hallways and made them a little bit bigger. But still, you can kind of tell that this was another game before it came to what it is now.
And also, like, developing new IPs is tricky.
Yeah.
You know, it's brand new. So you don't know where the pitfalls are.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know you don't have the full identity of the thing yet. More often than not, you don't have the full identity of the thing yet. And you very often get it more right the second time around. You know, where you learn from mistakes, ideally, where you learn from mistakes, you figure out what people like about this IP and you lean into that, and you just continue to elevate and iterate and get it to a place to where both creators and consumers think that this is of like a higher quality, you know?
I think the case for DMC2.
Yes, but eventually for 3, you know?
Which still holds up.
Yeah. And all of that to say is, if they were to choose to remake the game, which I think is a strong idea, right? Because I don't know where you go narratively after DMC 5.
Trish and Lady. Everyone's wanted a Trish and Lady game. I'd be down for that.
Sure, you'd be down. That would be great if the property of Devil May Cry was hot, and it's not really hot right now.
No,
you know, it's pretty cold. You know, DMC 5 was great. Really liked it. It was sold really well. It's the best selling in the franchise, but it didn't set the world on fire. It didn't do what Resident Evil did when Resident Evil revitalized itself with 7. It's not doing what Monster Hunter did with Monster Hunter Worlds and now Wilds, you know. And you know, that trend just kind of continues with Capcom IP. Street Fighter 6 is now, back to glory as one of the premier fighting game franchises, right? DMC 5, well-respected, has a little bit more of a niche following. And I think right now, it would just be it's really hard to introduce players to that world, to that story, to those characters. You could say, just go play the original game. And yeah, sure, you're totally fine in saying that. There's ways to play it. There's collections of the first 3 games all over the place that you can go play.
First 4.
Really? They got the
DMC collection.
Oh, right. There was a DMC 4. I forget.
Yeah.
I forget. All of that to say, it would be nice to have a better way in, especially the first title, because of the story is convoluted and confusing. I didn't know what the fuck was happening in 5.
Oh, you didn't?
No. Straight up, it did not make any fucking sense as a new player.
It's pretty simple when you play those games.
It generally is, and I think it's because the storytelling's actually just not, it's not the reason you're there, and 2, it's just not very good.
Mm-hmm. You being stupid.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, go that route with me if you want. But I think remaking the first Devil May Cry would give new players who have never touched a franchise before an opportunity to find their way in and become fans through that. And I don't think anybody would disagree that if they had a second bat at a Devil May Cry 2, that
you could do something. You could do something with it.
Yeah. We could fix some canon things. We could, make it better. We could make it play well.
Make Dante act more like Dante as we know him as. Now, that being said, he's not even Dante as we know him in the first game. He is in like the first moment, and then after that, it's kind of
strengthen our character writing.
Yes.
Solidify who these characters are in ways that make sense and sort of match up to the better parts of the franchise and what the fans want to see. Fans want to see Dante be Dante in the first Devil May Cry. He's not really. The fans have to do a lot of the imagination, a lot of the work, a lot of the writing for the creators in that sense. But this is a chance we can fix that.
It is. We got to play DMC after 1.
At some point, yeah, we do.
After 1.
I know.
Yep.
You're not going to have fun with that.
No, I'm not.
Well, I'm probably not going to have fun with that either. Am I going to be mad at that game?
Chances are, yeah.
What kind of bad is it? Is it just like atrociously like bad and like it doesn't work, or
you like
is
it more than Kingdom Hearts?
You think so?
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, no, you would.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at these scores for these games. Well, Kingdom Hearts is inflated for no good reason.
Yeah,
but like Devil May Cry 2.
Yeah, I actually don't know what Devil May Cry 2 would be because
it's not good.
No, it can't be.
It's bad.
At the time, they would have been
68.
Ooh. Yeah. No.
User score of 5.3.
Yeah. 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 Better than Kingdom Hearts.
I think you're letting your fandom get.
No, it's not, dude. I'm not a fan on this game. No, not this game. Kingdom Hearts this is not a broken game. This is not an incomplete game.
That's not what I've heard. I've heard it's kind of broken.
Well, you can break it, yes, but it's not like Kingdom Hearts where you just have to engage with a game that is not
finished,
fully complete. Yeah.
we'll see that. That'll be
We'll see.
some time from now. I like remakes, man.
I do too.
I really like remakes. I've really enjoyed what Resident Evil's been doing. I'm very excited for Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta Snake Eater. Are you playing that at launch?
When's it come out again?
August 28th.
Depends on what games I'm playing at the time.
There's other stuff happening in August, but there's that.
Yeah,
You know?
I'll wait and see. Since I picked up Death Stranding, I'm gonna try to get through that before 2, and then I'll have 2.
Again, I'll say you don't have to beat Death Stranding 1.
I might not.
I don't even think you have to play Death Stranding 1 to get into 2. It would help, especially with a lot of like the text and dialogue. But from what I'm seeing from these previews, which we could kind of talk about that a little bit, I guess, is they're doing a lot to really, really improve the formula of what they did in the first game.
Yeah, seems like it.
Specifically, there was a problem in the first game where characters would say words and you wouldn't know what those words meant, like chiral network or chiral printing, chiral anything really. And you're like, why am I eating these bugs? Why are these golden hands growing out of the ground? Why are all these things happening? And the game would eventually explain it, but not until, several hours into the game. So you would be kind of confused.
Yeah.
And they seem to be doing a better job about that by having sort of an active lore timeline a la Final Fantasy 16, which honestly, I think every Kojima game probably needs one of those.
It'd be very useful, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, because even as we're playing Metal Gear Solid 4, they're talking about shit, and I'm like, fucking what? And this is someone who's like played these games a lot, and so when they're talking, the system and the nanomachines do this, that, and the third. At some point it just becomes word salad, and it's like, all right, we're just throwing words at the screen to throw words at the screen.
Yeah.
It's a problem Kojima has in his writing style, and so yeah, I'm very excited. What else are you excited for this year? I've got like a solid 3 games that I'm like chomping at the bit to get to. Other than that, I could take or leave pretty much the rest of it.
Same here. Ghost of Yotai.
Oh, you know what? Okay, 4.
Yep.
Yeah. I am excited for that.
That's pretty much it right now. There's Dark Ages I really want to play.
Yeah.
Obscure.
For clarity, my 3 to 4. I'm playing Clair Obscure now. You should play Clair Obscure. You would love that game.
I am going to play it. Definitive.
Doom the Dark Ages, Death Stranding 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and Ghost of Yotai, but to a lesser extent from the other 3. Those are the ones that I'm like, ooh, I got to get to. Then we get to the rest of them. Like I'm sure you're fairly interested in Elden Ring Night Rain.
Of course.
I'm like moderately interested into it, but I'm not like excited.
I've gotten more excited as time has gone closer by.
Sure, yeah, and I'm sure I'll end up probably playing it with you guys, as well. But it's like fine. All right, cool. Borderlands 4, we'll see. What else is coming out this year? Oh, I mean, like all the Nintendo Switch stuff, but I don't know if I'll be able to afford a Nintendo Switch 2, at least in time for it to release. But of course, I am excited for Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza. I'm interested in Kirby Air Riders, but we'll see. Again, all of that is
a little ways off.
It depends on how much money I can make in these next couple of months, and if I, the dog doesn't get sick and force me to take it to the vet or something, like as long as nothing happens for the next like 2 months, I might be able to figure something out. But as of right now, I'm kind of stuck in whatever I'm playing.
You'll have to find out. What? What you want me to tell you that
I'm just hoping. I'm hoping for you to have an opportunity to talk. But you apparently you only care about fucking Ghost of Yotai.
I just can't, because I'm waiting for the next gaming event to show what the rest of the year has in store.
SGF.
I think there's something else that's just waiting for. I don't know what it is, but it's going to come out and it's going to, take me by surprise. I'm hoping, at least. I also wanted to kind of go back to Berserker, the first Berserker, Kazan. I had it on my game club. It's kind of like a Dark Souls-like game. It was well received. Had some good reviews. Just seems like my kind of game. But I have so many that I also have a backlog I want to get to. So I'm fine if there's not much else coming out this year.
You never touched Avowed, did you?
No, I never did. And I from what I'm hearing, I probably won't at this point, which is disappointing. Mainly because I have so many other games to play.
And Avowed was well received.
Yeah, it was. It's just, I also have my brother who I've been talking about it with, and it just doesn't really have like an identity that's draws you in.
Oh, okay.
I've heard it's good, but there's so many other games they got to play, and
right.
I'd rather jump on those.
Are you excited for Outer Worlds 2? I'm kind of excited.
because I found the first game to be kind of underwhelming, but it seems like this one's better.
I thought the first game was fine.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. But it didn't have the sauce to kind of carry me forward. But it was good.
It didn't, and this
It was
one's
well made.
Hey, it was.
If somebody came to me and said I really like the Outer Worlds, I'd be like, all right, cool.
It's fair.
Yeah.
It's certainly more enticing than fucking Starfield. But 2, and like I'm talking about the first one. 2 leagues better looking. But when does it come out? Later in the year, I believe.
Let me see.
'Cause I was surprised it was coming out this year.
They don't have a date yet for it, but it is. I believe Outer Worlds 2 is getting its own direct. That's the next like Microsoft thing. Is it's a full Microsoft showcase plus the 20-30 minutes of Outer Worlds 2, much like what they did last year with Black Ops 6.
Even so,
So
it might not come out this year. It might not.
they're doing a 30-minute direct at the end of it where they're like, hey, after watching the big thing, here's this. It's coming this year.
A direct, maybe they're wrong. Maybe they fucked up and said, "Oh, we need more time in this." We haven't heard anything about it. Up until this point, really.
That of course is always possible. That is always possible to happen. It's not going to happen.
We need a date, an exact date. I mean, did you think Ghost of Yote was coming out this year?
I didn't.
I didn't. So who knows how things
Who knows?
play out?
But they put a hard date on that one.
Yeah.
That's crazy that they called their shot like that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hey, good.
I'm starting to feel like a lot of these publishers knew GTA 6 wasn't coming this year before we did, which would make sense. Of course they would.
Yeah.
But it was just the way that like everybody started calling their shots all of a sudden. All of a sudden we saw DS2. All of a sudden we saw Ghost of Yote, Outer Worlds 2, not hard confirming, but being like, hey, yeah, we're coming this year. That's when Ghost said, hey, we're coming, I was like, oh, GTA 6 is definitely not coming.
Yeah. Guess you were right. Guess you were vindicated. Is that what you want to hear?
I mean, listen, some of us have it and some of us don't, Connor. And,
you're always right, right?
always right.
Are, yeah.
Always right, especially when it comes to mediocre-ass games like Breath of the Wild that you guys highly overrated for no fucking reason.
That's a point against you. And you're too stupid to know it.
I think I'm just so much more evolved than everybody else. That
I think you're so much more contrarian than everybody else.
You keep using this word contrarian as if it offends me. I don't give a fuck about the word
it's not
contrarian.
It's not a matter of...
Because I'm not a contrarian.
It's not a matter of offending you. It's a matter of truth. Like if I were to call you stupid...
In what way am I contrarian?
You hate Breath of the Wild when it's not worth hating on. You hate that game.
I don't hate it, and it's not... And I agree.
Go watch the review and tell me that you like it.
It's not worth hating on. I don't like it. But I don't hate it. And I also don't think it's worth hating on. I also don't think it's worth fucking sucking its balls and dicks as hard as you fucking do and let it fucking shoot its goddamn Sheikah cum all in your fucking mouth.
First, I don't do that. Second, it's better than MGS2. Why is it on the list above it then?
Because you and Phil are idiots. You and Phil are fucking morons. You and Phil are simpletons. Phil wanted to put it at number 1.
Hey, spoilers.
Simpletons. The two of you.
Yeah.
You don't have taste like me.
Yep.
You don't have evolved critique like me.
Yeah. These are just you're trying to push back against the
God
tide.
forbid somebody want to elevate this culture and actually knows what it means to be a great video game.
You're dragging
a great
it
piece
down
of art
by being a contrarian. That's my stance, and it'll never change.
You know what else will never change, Connor?
What?
Us coming to you every week with the nerdy news you need to know. Make sure you like, subscribe for more, because this, of course, has been your latest episode of the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know.
Like 4 weeks ago, we didn't come here.
What?
Like 4 weeks ago, we didn't come here, so you lied.
Well, whose fault was that?
I didn't say it was somebody's fault.
I
was not in the position.
You were given an assignment and you failed me.
You forced an assignment on me. Weeks
ahead of time, I said, "Hey guys, I'm not going to be able to record. Can you guys handle it?" Right?
And
what happened? What happened?
I was not here.
You guys didn't handle it.
I was not here
because God forbid, I have something come up in my life where I won't be able to sit in front of a microphone.
Same thing happened to me. Not as severe as yours, but
no, you could have come. You would have been fine.
Okay, weird.
Like how you came all over Breath of the Wild for no fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ, you fucking pedophile.
For good reasons.
Make sure you like and subscribe.
You know what? You said that. I've said that so many times about Randy Pitchford. You're doing a reverse psychology thing on me. I am not a pedophile. You're a misandrist.
I don't even know what that means.
You hate humanity.
Probably.
That's right. That's
Maybe a little bit.
Sandrist.
I don't know. If it is, then yes. If not, then no.
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out because, of course, this podcast needs to be
Oh,
longer.
no. Hatred against men or boys. What's the one where you hate people? Hatred of people. That's a name, yeah. Misandrist, misanthropy.
Misanthropic.
Misanthropic, yeah. That's it. I was lied to.
You can get the show every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@TwoPennyGames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.